Microfocus, creators of visual programming tools for software development, is pleased to provide major funding for the Computer Chronicles, the story of this continuing evolution.
Perfect copies, dry copies. It takes an extraordinary machine to make copies on ordinary paper. The Xerox 914.
Very good, Prince. I'm wearing it. Video, I would like to discuss about the criticism that does exist about me. Good everybody, welcome to today's edition of Woodsy TV. I'm going to show you a new purchase of mine that I've done today, this week. It is a solid ink printer, which will give you glossy finishes over the top of the page. So what it does is it just puts a layer of glossy ink over the page, and I will show you some print samples and perhaps even a operational video. Anyhow, let me show you where you put the ink. The ink goes through in here. This is where the ink goes in, and you can't mix them up. You put the ink in those holes at the top there, and the ink is held there. There's some ink in there already. So that is where you put in the ink, and you can put up to about 4 sticks, I believe. The magenta and cyan is pretty much full. The yellow one's got 2 more sticks already, and the black needs more ink to put in there. The paper goes into this tray there. Goes into that tray there. I'll close the lid. We'll close the lid like this, carefully, like so. Now it says on here, single print. Now here we go. The printer is going to do the print job here, doing the print job, and it's going to come out. There you go. And here's a sample. Here is a sample of the print from the printer. Look how nice that looks. Look how nice it looks. It's just been through a trip from Sydney, and it's still a little bit muddled up with the thing. When the machine first came along, when the machine first arrived, the print stripe test was like this, and pretty much what I believe what that is caused is because it hasn't been used for a number of weeks, and apparently that the ink head is a little bit dried up inside, and that's pretty much what's going on. So I reckon after about 200 pages, as I'm using it, it should clear itself up. So that's pretty much what's going on with the ink head. This is a print sample that came out of the printer, like so, and it looks pretty. It looks very, very good. Looks extremely good. Looks extremely good. Looks like photo quality. Photo quality graphics and network. Here is the network. Here's the network, and this is connected to my Ethernet network as well. I don't use you can get. There's two ways to connect this printer. There's two ways to connect this machine, either through the Ethernet or through the network. And network, I prefer using network because you can share the printer around different machines. Behind this here is the maintenance kit and the waste bin, as shown here. That is the waste toner. That is the waste ink there, and that's the maintenance kit there. And you close that up like so. That's the power switch. Behind here is access to memory. At the front, that's where you put the paper in. And on the top here, you put in the paper. That's the paper out and duplexer. In here is other areas of the machine as well. Other areas of the machine here, where the paper goes in, like that. And pretty much, that's pretty much it with the phaser. The Xerox phaser solid ink printer would have been used in the graphics industry for having very good, serious colour printing. Very serious colour printing. Anyhow, here is a 1993 demonstrations of the technology with the older model. In 1993, Tectonics had Xerox Phaser 200, and that printer there used a slightly different system, but it was basically on the same principle, using heat and wax. And that's pretty much what it is. It is like a solid ink, which I believe is actually a wax. And also, here's some videos from 1993 to 1988 with the Computer Chronicles, demonstrating the older models of this machine, and basically it came out with similar output.
At the Tektronix booth, visitors could see the Phaser CP color inkjet printer, which the company claims is the first color printer compatible with both the PostScript and HPGL printer languages. The Phaser CP produces 8.5 by 11-inch transparencies and paper with a virtually unlimited range of colors and shades. The printer comes with 35 standard typefaces, 8 megabytes of RAM, and sells for around $13,000. Michael was showing us inkjet technology. You use thermal transfer technology. Let me ask you to crank this thing up so we can see something come out.
We have an image coming in.
Okay, and then explain the thermal transfer technology.
Okay, the way that this works, Stuart, is that we have a ribbon which is coated with colored ink, and the inks are actually made out of a solid wax rather than a liquid material. The wax is transferred from the ribbon to the paper via heat. And to create that heat, there's a print head that runs the full width of the page, so there's no back and forth motion. In fact, the paper is continually going through the printer, actually much like a printing press. That has the advantage of faster printing operations and also the capability of doing overhead transparencies, paper, and that sort of thing.
Sure. Now, your printer is a little more expensive. This technology is more expensive than the inkjet. What do you get for the extra money?
Yes. This printer, the Phaser 200, is aimed at the office work group for people who have serious need for color. It has workgroup features like multiple paper trays, for example, to be able to print from paper or transparencies without leaving your desk, for instance. It also has a throughput or printing speed of up to 2 pages per minute, which actually makes it possible to use this printer to make final output. For example, rather than going to a quick copy shop, it is actually practical to make the final prints.
All right, so let's take a look here a second.
Okay.
I guess we're about to print out a piece of output which it's been working on, so we can take a look at the copy coming out. And it's making noises, so I assume it'll be out. As soon as this is done, I want to ask you to open up the box so we can look inside and actually see how that works.
Right. It's actually, the paper is now rotating, and you can hear the printer applying the 3 layers of color on top.
Okay, so it's really doing the printing at the moment
inside.
inside.
Right.
And then when it's done, it just sort of shoots it out.
It just comes out.
Okay, and there we go. All right, let me just hold that one up. All right, that is certainly pretty clean and pretty nice. All right, we're done, so open it up a second.
Sure.
And let's take a look inside, AJ. And again, let's focus on how you handle the printing here.
Sure.
And tell me what's going on.
You can see the thermal transfer ribbon here.
So there are your 3 primary
There's the 3
colors.
primary colors. This is the thermal print head, and the paper itself goes on a drum below the ribbon. So the heat is applied from here to here and transfers the image onto
And this prints
paper.
through once, and then you keep on going through the ribbon each time. You don't reuse this.
Right, that's correct.
Okay, so maybe you can close that up. And now, how about the cost of operating this? I think it's a little more expensive per copy.
Well, it depends on the nature of the prints you're making. For example, if you're doing high coverage copies like this.
Let's take a look at that one.
Right. This page, for example,
a lot of
color, but it costs less than 60 cents to produce.
Really?
Less than 60 cents. Thermal transfer technology has a cost per page that is constant regardless of the amount of coverage, which makes it ideal for doing high coverage applications like business
presentations. You're not consuming more ink, less ink, depending on what
That's
you're doing.
right, that's right.
Okay, well, show me some of these other examples of nice output you have here. What are these brochures, for example?
Sure, these brochures, for example, illustrate the fact that with its new plain paper capability can print on both sides. So you could use the printer, for instance, to make a design mock-up of a brochure, or if you needed only a small quantity, even to make final prints. Printing on both sides, this brochure would cost less than $1 per copy to make, which is favorable to going to copy
and what
shops.
are the other examples of output you have here?
A real estate example, again, with waterproof inks, you can put this outside a house and it won't run in the rain. Transparencies, overhead transparencies, and business graphics. Another very popular application is making handouts. Here you can see I've made a presentation handout with 6 slides on a page. And I've therefore been able to fit 24 pages or 24 slides to hand out to an audience.
While we've been talking, it printed out that pretty nifty little
That's
piece of
right,
paper
and it'll
there,
be
too.
printing another one here in just a moment, yes.
Okay, what does it cost for the Tektronix?
Okay, the Phaser 200E starts at $36.95, which includes interfaces for Macintosh, PC, and workstations, all simultaneously active.
Real quick, you printed that sweatshirt on the printer, huh?
Yes, that's right, Stuart. I did. In fact, last night. It's an example of what we call chest-top publishing.
Chest-top, well, that's worth the money, absolutely.
Yeah, it can make transparency.
All right, sometimes it's not enough just to print out colored documents in the office. Certain applications require large format output. For those situations, we found the Colossal Jet FB, a flatbed color inkjet printer. This is Tibor Fischli, manager of printer technology at Xerox. And Tibor, explain to me now that we're printing, what's going on inside the printer?
Now the information is coming from the computer, and that video is used to modulate the scanning beam, which in turn lays down the image on the photoreceptor drum, one by one, color by color, and actually the xerographic process does not really know or care where the light is coming for the exposure and initiating the whole process.
And what do we have then coming out of the machine?
Now we have a full color picture of the baboon.
Tibor, that graphic is pretty impressive coming out of this printer. Can you show me now a demonstration of what the device is inside the printer that's doing it?
Yes. This laser printer is identical to the one which was used for the demonstration. I would like to now tell you the major component and describe the optical path. The beam from this helium neon laser is folded and focused into this acousto-optical modulator. The diverging beam from the modulator is folded along the optical path into the polygon, and after reflection from the polygon is coming back through the same element, and it folded and focused on the surface of the photoreceptor, which is now here represented by this white screen.
Could you actually show us the laser beam inside here?
Yes, I will spray some Freon. It would make the light path visible. You can see how it's coming out from the laser, going through the modulator, into the folding optics, and into the polygon.
That was a very interesting demonstration, John. Now can you sort of talk to us about the future of laser printing technology? Are there going to be more laser printers? Are they going to come down in price? Will they displace other printer technologies that we've talked about today?
I think, Herb, the answer is yes to all of those questions. There will be more laser printers and they will come down in price. The early laser printers were very fast but also very expensive machines costing hundreds of thousands of dollars. The price is now rapidly coming down, helped in some of the future products and some recently introduced ones by the use of the junction diode laser, this little gadget I have here, which will replace the large helium neon laser and the modulator, reducing both size and cost of future printers. And with this and other refinements, we'll see the price coming down quite rapidly over the next few years.
So naturally you're enthusiastic about the future of this technology and its ability to do the text processing and the graphics processing that we talked about earlier.
Yes, I am, and I also believe that by increasing the resolution, as in this experimental machine, we can also move toward high-resolution graphics and pictorials.
I'm afraid we're out of time for this session of Computer Chronicles. Thank you very much, and we will see you on our session next week.
In around 1959, Xerox released the 914 photocopy machine. It was the very first model photocopy machine that did automatic with all the steps, with exposure, transferring, infusing, and all the steps around it, around the xerographic process. Previously, before this machine, it was all done manually by a skilled operator. They did all the operations manually. It took about 15 minutes to do the job. Like the thing is, you have to do the conditioning of the plate, and basically you have to charge it up first. Then you have to do the exposure stage by using old-fashioned plate camera. And then you
This is the one. When we say the Xerox 914 makes copies on ordinary paper, we mean ordinary paper. For instance, office stationery. Or how about plain bond paper? Now, if that isn't ordinary enough, wait a minute. To prove the point, I'll cut up some brown wrapping paper. How much more ordinary can you get? If seeing is believing, let's actually make here in the paper loading tray. We push the on button. Let's make a copy of this page from a book. That's right, a page from a book. There goes the stationery, the bond paper, and the wrapping. And our bond paper and the wrapping paper. perfect copies, dry copies. It takes an extraordinary machine to make copies on ordinary paper. The Xerox 914.
85's in Britain, and it's a magnificent contraption. It's all entirely manually operated, and it takes several minutes to make a copy. It doesn't look anything like Carlson's equipment, but it actually goes through exactly the same stages. This is the plate, and the first stage is to charge it up. So it goes in this slot here. Simply have to press the button. Battelle had replaced Carlson's sulfur with a thin glassy layer of selenium that's so sensitive to light that I can only show you how it works in a darkroom. Instead of rubbing it to charge it, Battelle used a very, very fine high voltage wire that's inside this casing, and they simply moved it slowly across the plate. This gives it a very even charge, and this is what's happening inside the slot in the 1385. The next stage is to expose it, and so take it over to this camera here, slips in the back. This is the image I'm going to expose. It's basically just an old-fashioned plate camera, this. That's it. Put the slide back in. And the next stage is developing it. That happens in here. Put the plate in here. Pull the slide out again. This reminds me of some sort of magician's cabinet. Inside, a mixture of sand and toner powder, the equivalent of Carlson's lycopodium, runs over the plate. It's only attracted to the parts of the plate that are still charged. That's the dark parts of the image. And we should now be left with an image on the plate. Yes. I'm having a lot of trouble getting it as good as that. The copy paper is then put over the plate so the image can be transferred. The corona wire now charges the paper, transferring the toner powder onto it. Finally, the toner powder on the copy has to be heated to fix it. Probably about done now. Yes, that's fixed. And that's the final copy. Well, this process is obviously rather impractical for an office, but it found one specialist use for printers, for making short-run printing plates. That's why I'm in a printer's now. I'm going to go away to try and print it. Here's the plate. The 1385 already embodied the same basic technology as today's copiers, but it still wasn't the machine of Carlson's dreams.
It took Carlson about 21 years from inception of the very first print, Astoria, in 1938 to 1959. It took a full 21 years to develop the photocopy machine. A full 21 years to develop it. From conception in his lab, using his primitive equipment, to machines that closely resemble in 1959 to the modern photocopier.
Idea of developing an office copier, which had never been done before, and I thought of a machine that could be set on a desk in an office, to which one could bring an original to be copied and put it in the machine and push a button and get a copy out.
His dream finally came true in 1959. The Haloid company had changed its name to Xerox and introduced the Model 914.
However, in about 1980, back in the 1980s, now back to solid ink machine is shown in the demonstration. In 1986, Teletronics invented the solid ink. And then Xerox acquired that division in about 2000, and that's how the Xerox phaser name came about. In the 90s, the CEO of Techtronics ate a block of solid ink to prove how safe it is. It is made out of vegetable oil, and that's verified by Wikipedia. It is non-toxic solid ink. It gives a very glossy output, even on plain paper. And that's one of the reasons why I bought the machine, because I can make very glossy, nice looking business cards and flyers. And that's one of the reasons why I acquired this machine, so I can make very nice looking business cards and flyers and documents that I need to be presentation on. A colour laser printer is very good at doing that as well, but the solid ink machine is slightly better than colour laser. Anyhow, thanks for so much watching today's video. Please give a thumbs up, leave a comment and subscribe, and make a comment about today's video.
Your favorite Nikki. Thanks for watching Woodsy TV. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe.
Microfocus, creators of visual programming tools for software development, is pleased to provide major funding for the Computer Chronicles, the story of this continuing evolution.